in an era where everyone's talking agile and SCRUM and fast projects and lean methodologies. We do a lot of work scenario planning and strategizing, and I know culture can eat strategy for breakfast every day of the week, right? But when you create a strategy and a future strategy together with a client, yes, culture sometimes comes in and disrupts that, but equally the economic incentives can do so as well. And I guess when we've done a lot of work with, say, retail banks, looking at their 2020 or even 2025 strategies, one of the disincentives to totally reimagining and creating a new banking experience is the fact that a lot of banks are locked into 5-10-year contracts on, the retail, physical bricks and mortar banking experience. And even the incentives internally align to that, get, mortgage origination, through your mortgage specialist in the bank branch. But if instead, in the digital world, of someone who might be interested in a mortgage or a second mortgage for an investment property or for a summer house, if I was just in a workspace like this and I knew that there was a retail banking specialist, I'd much prefer to sit down like this and have a chit chat. But of course, the banks are locked into these long-term contracts, which can end innovation as well. What are your reflections on this?
So right now I'm actually working with one of the biggest banks out of Asia, and they're out of London as well. So they have a very large footprint. And they're actually a very large landlord. 40% of all their buildings they own. And they have, like every bank are experiencing a less and less need for retail banking. More and more get online and do their banking online. And they've got these amazing locations, very high rents, or in the most expensive areas of the world, and they're trying to figure out, well, how can they actually create experiences that's going to drive people into these spaces. And I'm working with this particular bank on creating what is essentially a club or experiences that will drive clients of the bank into the space. And then it's exactly what you said, where it's almost like a WorkClub experience is a club experience, but you may go there for banking, you may not go there for banking, but you'll go there to meet other people, you can work from there, you can socialize, you can attend events. And it's this myriad of club and just soft banking. So I think I've been talking about that for almost 15 years in terms of it doesn't make sense. Retail banking, it's so it's a horrible experience, it's just like, and the same with furniture showrooms, doesn't make sense. Why would you have a furniture showroom that you just go into, I'm talking commercial furniture, that you go into once every 5 years and it's just dead space. It's about creating experiences that will drive people in, and there's a need, destinations, why people will go there. You create experiences around that. Then I think you have something much more powerful as a brand as well, if you can create that as a brand.
Yeah, and I guess when you refer to things like lounges, and I know, for example, DBS in Singapore, for example, have their own space at Changi Airport. Amex here in Sydney, I think even more significantly in Stockholm, they have a lounge. I would argue that's an even greater experience than some of the airline lounges at Stockholm Arlanda Airport. Flying a lot around the world, like yourself, I love going to the Cathay Lounge in Hong Kong, for example, at the pier, or here at the Mark Newson designed one by Qantas. And there are these beautiful sort of transition spaces where I think we can all draw a lot of inspiration from. And I guess when I think about these analog spaces in a world that's increasingly marinated and influenced by artificial intelligence, the hype around virtual reality, blockchain disrupting the banking experience of the back office, from investment banking to retail banking. I just see this beautiful kind of convergence and almost sort of anti-disciplinarian, or maybe even counterintuitive need for the physical analog space to be amazing. And at the same time, AI might reduce the corporate or the entrepreneurial need for physical space at the same time. So it's almost this like seesaw of when we invest our time into actually being in a physical space for work, we want it to be amazing and world class. And at the same time, corporations are saying that, hey, some of our knowledge work is going to get done out of a data center or through the cloud, which then reduces their need for maybe the 5 or 10 year contract, and they can enter this sort of on-demand economy that you're facilitating.